The Bible clearly states that hell was prepared for the devil and his angels. Satan, Lucifer, when he fell from heaven, he took a third part of the angels with him, and that is what hell was prepared for.
Satan, of course, originated in heaven. He was one of the commanders of the heavenly army, but he defected.
Good day, friends. Today's subject is why enlarge itself, the 12 gates of hell. I saw this subject on Facebook, and somebody asked the question, why all the volcanoes and the earthquakes? And I heard this voice, hell is enlarging itself. And here's the scripture, why enlarge itself the 12 gates of hell? Isaiah 5:14, King James Version, therefore hell hath enlarged itself and opened a mouth within measure, and their glory and their multitude and their pomp, and he that rejoiceth shall descend into it. People, hell is real. Inside this earth, this very moment, there are millions of lost, tormented souls, burning, weeping, and wailing without any hope forever. Hell is right in the center of the earth. Here we can see the inner core, the outer core, the mantle, and then the crust. And my belief is that this area here could be the bottomless pit. There are various divisions. We all know that Jesus is descended into hell. But let me give you just a short introduction to hell. Now, our word for Sheol and Hades is hell. Sheol and Hades are the same place. Sheol is the Old Testament Hebrew word, and Hades is the New Testament Greek word for the place of death. You can tie them together by comparing the manuscripts, and especially through Psalms on the day of Pentecost. Jesus specifically said in Matthew that he would be spending 3 days in the belly of the center of the earth between his death and resurrection. And from Peter's letter along with Paul's letter, we can find that he did indeed descend into Hades or hell before he arose again. Yeshua later took captives, that's in Matthew 27 verse 2, and paradise, which was near Hades before his resurrection, with him to heaven. And then when he ascended before the day of Pentecost, he didn't take these people with him 40 days later. This occurrence happened on the day that he saw Mary Magdalene in the garden, and Mary Magdalene has mistaken him for the garden, and he said, "Do not touch me, for I haven't ascended unto my Father yet." He haven't ascended unto his Father yet to represent the first fruits, which was the people that was seen in Matthew 27:52. The graves there were earthquakes, graves were open, and people saw these people in Jerusalem. Yes, people saw them, and they even talked to them. And these people were the first fruits then from the dead. And some people who call it a secret rapture. There's no such a thing as a secret rapture. There will be a rapture. So, Jesus then took these people, the first fruits, to on that day, presenting his blood to the Father. And then 40 days later, he ascended. That was just 10 days before Pentecost. He ascended into heaven. And of course, the angel then said to the people that was present, "Why do you look around? The same Jesus is coming back in the same way." Yeah, Jesus is coming back. Yeah, now at the end of the Millennium Kingdom, Revelation tells us that all the dead unbelievers will be resurrected, judged, and thrown into the lake of fire along with death, Hades, and the grave. This is the second death, Hades and the grave. This is the second of final death. When Jesus spoke of this final death, he called it Gehenna in the original Greek manuscripts. Anytime Scripture speaks of the final death, the lake of fire, or the second death, it speaks of a separation from God and torment that will cause gnashing of teeth, terror, and pain. Of course, you see here Barack Obama and the Pope. I do believe he is the Antichrist. Well, you can put your Antichrist in there if you believe whoever you feel it is, but the Bible specifically say that he is, and the Pope is the false prophet. They will be the first two that will go to the lake of fire. And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet that wrought miracles before him, with which he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast, and them that worship his image. These both were cast alive into the lake of fire and burned with brimstone. They will stay here, of course, for 1,000 years before the rest will be judged, which is called the second or final death. Amen. So that is called the lake of fire, and I believe that the sun will be that lake of fire. That is just my opinion. In the New Testament, we have a pretty good picture with what Hades look like, at least up to the point of the cross from Jesus himself in one of his parables. Now, some people are under the impression that parables are not true stories, but parables are defined as true to life stories, and this one I think might be an actual true life altogether. Many told me it's just symbolical, but it's not symbolical. This is a true life story altogether. There was a rich man who, dressed in purple and fine linen, lived in luxury every day. At his gate was laid a beggar named Lazarus, covered with sores, and longing to eat what fell from the rich man's table. Even the dogs came and licked his sores. The time came when the beggar died, and the angels carried him to Abraham's side. The rich man also died and was buried. In Hades, where he was in torment, he looked up and saw Abraham from afar off, with Lazarus by his side. So he called to him, "Father Abraham, have pity on me, and send Lazarus to dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue, because I'm in agony in this fire." I pray that you will hear this if you read this. This man is in agony, and true agony. And I saw this myself in out-of-body experience vision. I saw hell myself. People are in agony. I'm in agony in this fire, he said. But Abraham replied, "Son, remember that in your lifetime you receive your good things." People are receiving your good things right now on the earth. But there comes a time where you're going to either receive your things, either in two places, hell or heaven. Lazarus received bad things, but now he is comforted here, and you are in agony. And besides all this, between us and you is a great chasm has been set in place so that those who want to go from here to you cannot, nor can anyone cross over from there to us. And it's the same for those who are seeking looking for an entry to the gates of hell, which I'm going to discuss in a moment. Now, Hawaii is getting the brunt of the extension of hell. The latest update, June 14, 2018, Hawaii, there were 455 earthquakes, 1.5 or greater in the past 24 hours. That is that many. And then 23, that equals 3 or greater. A 5.3 magnitude earthquake caused by a volcanic eruption. That was 7 hours ago. That was on the 14th, of course, of June. Today is the 15th. Yes, earthquakes and volcanic activity is a sign of the last day, but I wondered why. I already explained to you, I heard a voice saying hell is enlarging itself. Now in Noah's days there were also these signs. There were spring fountains popped up everywhere around the world. Most of the water was underneath the earth. Hell enlarged itself to make way for 15 billion people. Did you hear correctly? Yes, 15 billion people died. Only 8 people, Noah and his 3 sons, survived. And if you don't believe me, we are present 8 billion people, and that is over the last 4,000 years. You must remember Adam and his sons. They lived up to almost to 1,000 years. Adam itself lived 930 years, and Adam had 56 children, 33 sons, and 23 daughters. Multiply that per person that was on the earth, and you can see the multiplication on itself, and they did not die. So imagine yourself 15 billion people plus all the animals that was on earth. There was so much around. It was just corpses flowing or laying upon the water. Yes. Genesis 7:11 says, in the 600th year of Noah's life, on the 17th day, the 2nd month, all the fountains of the great deep burst forth, and the floodgates of heaven were opened. And it is proved by scientists. In yet another confirmation of the Bible prophecy, scientists have now confirmed what Scripture refers to as the foundation of the deep. In the days of Noah and the ark, these large pools of water beneath the earth's crust burst forth onto the surface, providing the massive amounts of water needed for the global judgment. Yeshua stated, as it was in the days of Noah, so would it be again. Only a remnant will remain to populate the earth in the millennium. And Jesus did say, if he did not shorten the days during the tribulation, no flesh would remain. No flesh would remain. And that's always an argument, people saying, yes, every eye will see him only when he returns. Every eye will see him at the beginning of the rapture. There will be hardly people left over to see him coming. Only the remnant will see him coming, not all the tribes of the earth. That is right from the beginning they will see him. Now Adam prophesied the second world would be destroyed by fire. Now here in this picture you can see brimstone forming around a volcanic vent. Revelation 21:8. Yes. So, it says, but fearful and unbelieving and abominable murderers and warmongers and sorcerers and idolaters and all liars shall have their part in the lake which burneth with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. Now the contents that spew out of a volcano are very much similar to what the Bible say about hell. That there is fire burning with brimstone. Brimstone refers to sulfur. One of the major gases that constitutes a volcanic eruption is sulfur dioxide. Now, mud volcanoes release a lot of molten mud, which is also as magma when still below the surface of the earth, and lava when it reaches the surface of the earth. Now, some of those who had dreams and visions or who have been to hell, and as people have literally been to hell and back, and seen people immersed fully or halfway in boiling mud. Now, if hell is indeed located in the center of the earth, then volcanoes could as well be another proof that it does exist. And here is the latest current eruption volcanoes that was on the 14th or the 6th, 2018. And here you can see all the volcanoes that's in red, that is active at present. There's one that was, of course, it is Hawaii, and then also Guatemala that was very active in the recent days. And this is right on the equator and where the 12 gates of hell is at present. Now, 7 volcanoes became active within the last week. Lava from fissure 8 this morning was just insane. The fissure continues to feed the ocean. That is in Kauai, this area there. Entry in Kapoor. The fissure has not slowed down at all and continues to pour out lava at a high rate from the sky. The fissure looked like a washing machine, just constant movement in the cinder cone. Lava seems to be moving at a fast rate out of the cone. The channelized lava, a river at some spots, are over 200 yards wide. That is big, especially at the elbow near the Y intersection highway 132 and Pohokaya Road. The USG reported the eruption of lava continues from Lower East Rift Zone in Leilani Estates with little chance over the past few days. Fissure 8 lava fountains were observed reaching heights of 200 feet from within the growing cone of cinder and spatter, which is now about 160 feet at its highest point. Yes, the 12 gates of hell and the 12 gates of heaven. Now, surely when I mention this here, I can hear the words, it's bullshit. What? Give me that, what you are smoking. That will be the headlines. But I'm telling you, this 12 gates that I'm going to show you in a moment of time is real. Just like the 12 gates in heaven. There's 12 gates in heaven. Each gate of New Jerusalem bears the inscription of the tribes of Israel, and each gate, each gate is guarded by an angel. That is true. Each gate is guarded by an angel. Now these angels are there to let only those names that are written in the Lamb's Book of Life, verse 27. You can see the video. You can watch this video. After 70 years are completed, 14th May, I will visit you. So let's get back to the subject of the day. Now the professional biologist Ivan T. Sanderson, who founded the Society of the Investigation for the Unexplained in Columbia, New Jersey, wrote the 12 Devil's graveyards around the world. I call them the 12 gates of hell. for Saga magazine in 1972 plotted ships and planes disappearances worldwide, focusing attention on 12 areas. With several associates, he set out to pattern the mysteries by taking full advantage of modern communication technology and statistical data analysis. His success was so startling. The 12 devil graveyards around the world plotted ships and planes disappearance worldwide, focusing his attention on 12 areas equally spaced over the globe. And here you can see those. I showed it in the first picture. This was the Devil's Sea, that area. That is the Water Basin. And then at the South Pole, there's another gate. At the North Pole, there's another one. The Hawaii is another gate to hell. Easter Island is one of them. Just south of Argentina is another one. And here in Zimbabwe, where I stay right as South Africa. Zimbabwe is a province just above us. That is another gate to hell. The Algerian megalith, the Bermuda Triangle. Everybody knows the Bermuda Triangle. And then the Mohenjo-Daro is another gate to hell. These are the 12 gates to hell. And just like you enter into heaven in each one's tribe's name, you will enter through these gates to hell. Don't go to hell, people. Go to heaven. Choose this day whom you will serve. Do not go to the devil's graveyard around the world. Yeah. So there are 12 in total, and you know of at least one of them, and that is the Bermuda Triangle. I heard about the Bermuda Triangle even before I got saved, for that matter. Here is a complete list with a brief description of each. I call them the gates of hell. Mohenjo-Daro, also known as Mount of the Dead Man, built in the 26th century before Christ and located at Sindh, Pakistan. This was one of the largest settlements of the Indus Valley civilization, and though thought to be one of the world's first major cities, we all know that Damascus is the oldest city in the world. This was one of them at that time. Now, several planes went missing over this area. Animals do not come near this place. West of the Indus River, in the Indus Valley, there are the remains of large and ornate city, which means Mount of Krishna. It is said that it was from this great and ancient city that the birth of the Hindu religion first arose. While this all sounds quite lovely and peaceful, the story does not stop there. After its discovery in 1920s, excavation began, and the archaeologists came across scattered corpses of at least 40 people, and there were much more of them. Consider that the god Shiva is pictured a lot in the city. The Shiva is a god of destruction. Many still believe today that the city has some dark powers to it. Yeah, now then you get the Hamakulia. Hamakulia is an underwater volcano in the Hawaii island. It's the bigger picture here. So here we have the Hawaiian island, including Hamakulia, which is actually on this coast here. Here we see a map of Hawaii. There are many few other islands here, but this is specific where Kulia is. Hamakulia is sitting in the Pacific Ocean, right along the Ring of Fire. Now, the Ring of Fire name was coined because of the overabundance of volcanic and earthquake activities all along the edges of the Pacific Ocean. It actually looks more like a horseshoe, but we take it the point. But we take it the point. Yeah. There is a lot of movement occurring underneath the earth crust in the area. Here's a photo above, left, Korea volcano erupting. Here is some wacky fun facts we should all be aware of. In a 40-kilometer ratio of 25 miles per square miles, horseshoe shape, it is associated with a nearly continuous series of oceanic trenches, volcanic arcs, and volcanic belts or plate movement. It has 452 volcanoes and it's home to over 75% of the world's active and dormant volcanoes. About 90% of the world's earthquakes and 81% of the world's largest earthquakes occur along the Ring of Fire. The Ring of Fire is a direct result of plate tectonics and the movement and collisions of the lithospheric of the crust and the earth upper mantle plates. Now, if my friend was here, he would have said, you always make a joke that if it rains, we're staying in the same city and it always rains at his place. And he asked me, is it raining there? I said, no, it's not raining. He said, no, you people are sinning too much. Well, I suppose where all these volcanic activities is probably where the people are sinning the most. And that is why hell is enlarging its place in this area for those people. I might just have said it in a joke, but it can be very, very, very much true. Yeah, okay, the Bermuda Triangle. Bermuda Triangle, an infamous location known for its many strange disappearances and other mysterious incidents. Miami, San Juan, Puerto Rico, and Bermuda are said to form the triangle vertices. High on Sanderson's list was an area here in Miami, the Bahamas, on the western tip of the infamous Bermuda Triangle. And here you can see the Bahamas, the Bermuda Triangle. And this is where many, many planes got missing. Best known spot for mysterious ships and plane disappearance. The most well known is Flight 19, a military training flight. 14 pilots vanished and the search squadron sent to look for them also vanished, claiming an additional 13 pilots. Flight 19 is well known because it featured prominently on Steven Spielberg's Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Well, we all know who is the third kind. It's none other than the fallen angels. There's no such a thing. All those UFOs and those beings that you call, they are fallen angels, people. They are fallen angels. Amen, yeah. Now, Lloyd's of London has kept tabs on world shipping since the formal initiation insurance as business a few hundred years ago. From 1 January 1961 to the end of 1970, Lloyd's has listed 2,766 ships losses, 1,136 by wrecking alone, and 701 by foundering, and 70 under disappearances. And you can see how afraid people are about this, and they're keeping away from this area. Yeah, so the largest or the last lot was a 10,000 tonner named the Molten Hydrodis out of New Orleans. The Bermuda Triangle is particularly interesting because NASA has extensive studies in this area itself. The Earth surrounds by an inner and outer radiation, and here you can see the outer radiation and the inner radiation belt, and of course the tilt here that is more than on Bermuda side. So the surface then elsewhere, creating an area where the Earth's magnetic field is weaker. there's a flux of energetic particles. Satellites who go through this belt often experience malfunctions and glitches, and astronauts see strange shooting stars like lights. This also causes serious problems for aircrafts. Planes disappear mysteriously in the area, which probably has something to do with navigational and electronic malfunction. Now, the Algerian megalith, it's a ruin south of Timbuktu, reported in this area of several disappearances. Algerian megaliths are coincidentally a burial ground located at a node between Algeria, Mali and Mauritania. Mali is in this right, and here is Algeria, if you can see it on this map. And some phones, iPhones, it may be quite small. Yeah, now whether there was some phenomenon surrounding the magnificent megalith, where weather was involved, or it is just a curse of the burial grounds, they are yet to figure this out. The Devil's Sea. The Devil's Sea, also known as the Dragon Triangle. This area may also be called Pacific Bermuda Triangle, in a place where many vessels are said to have disappeared. Now, the name Dragon Triangle can be traced back to the old Chinese fables, which originate from around 1000 BC. These tales spoke of dragons that lived underwater and from time to time capsized and sank naval ships along with the seamen aboard them. For these mystical creatures' consumption and to satisfy their hunger. On the other hand, the oceanic areas named the Devil's Sea, or Manu Umi in Japanese was actually coined by the natives of Japan a long time ago because of the local legend that speak of the area notoriety in subduing and consuming even the strongest and most buoyant ships, the strongest ships, and for being the home of terrifying sea monsters that drown people to death. Now, the Dragon Triangle is located in the region of the Pacific Ocean near Japanese volcanic island of Miyake. And then the next gate of hell is a Zimbabwean megalith, an area of towering stone monument walls and other structures thought to be built roughly 900 years ago. This is the ninth gate of hell, or vortex as some call it, is a Zimbabwean megalith. When the Europeans had discovered, like David Livingstone, they had discovered the megalith way back in the 19th century. They could not believe that the wild Africans could build something as massive as these megaliths. Until today, no one knows for sure who made these and why they were made. The mystery of the Zimbabwean megaliths continues to haunt people up today, and people are very fearful of this area as such. Now, the Easter Island, Chilean island, home to the mysterious monumental statue known as Moai. There have been thousands of mysteries around the statues on Easter Island as to how they were moved, and these just add up to it. These megaliths are believed to have alien connection. We all know who the aliens is. They are demons. They are fallen angels. As to how this heavy stonework were done, placed and around the way they are today. And here you can see all of them. They really look like big giants and demons, of course. Yeah, now the South Atlantic anomaly, this is where Rio de Janeiro is. It's a peculiar area of the Earth's inner than radiation belt, reached an altitude only 120 miles above the planet's surface. It's the closest point. Being the tourism capital, thousands of tourists swarm to Rio de Janeiro for the coastal grace. However, what most of them do not know is that they are turning right, right alongside a vile vortex next to the gate of hell. This one has proven to be one of the tamer gates of hell or vortices of the bunch, though the area has spurred its fair share of mysteries. And the next one is the new Hebrides Trench, located in the southwestern Pacific Ocean. This trench is about 750 miles long and reaches a depth of about 25,000 feet. The Loyalty Island to the east, the Cape Harbour, Australian harbour around New Hebrides Trench. Sailors have long reported strange, violently changing currents in the area, along with strange whirlpools and vortices of water. This makes for some nasty sailing conditions, not to mention the many ships that have been lost while navigating the region. In 2012, scientists also figured out that nearby islands established on this map, they just went missing. All those islands just went missing. It was established on maps itself, and they gone missing. Yeah, so they just completely vanished. And then you have the Water Basin. An 8.6 magnitude earthquake struck this area in April 2012. Now the Water Basin that's near Australia still holds the remains of flight MH370. Near the northeast corner of the Indian Ocean lurks the Water Basin. Along the floor of the ocean here, there are many deep fractures and different plates meet here there. Because of that, this area sees quite a bit of seismic activity, which has been studied extensively. However, researchers do not have a map of this area's ocean, and they have not tried to make one since the 60s. What's more, the area has come the recent fame as the possible resting place of flight MH370, which vanished in 2014. There is no trace of the Malaysian plane, and though the search continues, we may never truly know what happened. They say they do find some parts in various places, but yeah, so that's another story. The South Pole, similar to the North Pole, but this is the 11th one. But with its own unexplained mysteries, many have claimed to have spotted UFOs. We all know who's the UFOs. It's fallen angels. There's no such thing as aliens and UFOs. That got to do with the fallen angels. Sometimes government projects involved with this. Yeah, when the satellite image of the Antarctica South Pole, have the leads found something in Antarctica? Yeah, why are so many going there? Why did John Kerry visit the Antarctica? Why did Obama visit the Antarctica? That's questions that you can ask yourself. Why did Hitler visit and even map out a piece of land in Antarctica, establish a land there for themselves in that area? Why? Are they after the gates of hell? Are they seeking an entry to meet them? Yeah, Antarctica has now a population of around 4,000 people. Researchers living among the hub of penguins. Even still, this abundance of scientific professionals and yet to yield any concrete explanation for some of the region's strange happenings. A mysterious pyramidal rock formation vouches for an ancient civilization living under the thick layer is rare visited or studied due to harsh weather conditions and great distance. And now lastly, the North Pole. While there may seemingly be nothing of note about the North Pole, some people do believe an opening exists there. And I'll come to it now, through which you may enter hollow earth. No, so such a thing as hollow earth. That is none other than the place for Satan's, the bottomless pit. In 1845, an expedition for the North Pole left from England's search of the North Pole. They never made it. All 129 men were lost, and few traces were found of them until 150 years later. We now know that there was lots of death, cold, and eventual cannibalism. What stopped them on the road? Whether it was the weather or something paranormal is something we may never know. But here is something, and I am not into these type of theories, but listen to this. On October the 4th, 2002, a bizarre guest arrived on a coast-to-coast AM radio show that is in America, of course. The host at that time was Art Bell, a reputable analyst of mysterious cases, debated with intriguing guests, but only a few people had ever sounded as amazed as this one. The guest was called Dallas Thompson, who was a legally blind personal trainer who spent his boyhood in Hawaii. Hawaii, another place, gate of hell. Has that got something to do with? And was now living in Bakersfield, California. 5 years ago, his life changed. That was not a long time ago. That was towards this early 2007. This was this news here. His life changed for good after a terrible accident. Dallas Thompson had visions of the future in which he saw the complete pole shift and the frightening transition, and after the recovery from the coma, he claimed that at least 2 billion people were going to die. Here is a guy, an unbeliever, and what he states here is quite biblical. Where it doesn't matter from where he got his source from, and I believe the source of his vision might be from the enemy. But which states it's actually Revelation 8, 1-3. And you can read it to yourself. A third of the world population died just at the opening of the 6th seal. Now this man is not a believer in Christ, but what he states sounds biblical, and I can think of scriptures like the one I just mentioned, Revelation 8, 1-13, Isaiah 8, where the earth has been turning upside down, and Revelation 6:14, where the heavens scroll up like folds up like a scroll. That's something. That sounds like a pole shift to me. He also saw the portals of the poles. That is in the vision that he saw. A hint from the tribes of the old that resides deep underneath the crust of the earth. After having these visions, it became his mission to make the people on the earth, the surface of the earth, of course, as he says, aware of the coming pole shift and the rising threat of wormwood or planet X, as some people states it. After writing a book and securing funding for his project, Dallas just disappeared. Now, Admiral Byrd, he had a similar journey down to the North and the South Pole. Now, why is world leaders so intrigued by the South and North Pole? The hollow earth theory is none other than the bottomless pit that are reserved for Satan and his fallen angels. And here the word says, and Michael cast, that is Satan. Of course, they've used Satan. Satan has about plus or minus billions of angels. I can't estimate that, but there's billions of fallen angels in the bottomless pit, and shut him up and set a seal on him that he should deceive the nations no more till 1,000 years is up. Now, why 1,000 years? After 1,000 years, Satan will be released again to you see, all those people in the 1,000 years it's coming up in the 1,000 years, they will live up to 1,000 years. And they haven't been tested like us. And for short while, Satan will be, how many years that can be? I estimated it might be another 7 years. And Satan will be released for that time to test these people on the earth. And then finally, we'll all go into eternity. Yeah, and the angels who kept not the first estate, but left their own habitation, he has reserved an everlasting chains under darkness, under the judgment of the great day. Now, all these people, this is most probably what Dallas saw underneath the earth. They claim there's a sun underneath the earth. There's no such a thing. There is no light down under the earth. Burning sulfur and brimstone is the only light sources, and utter darkness. I saw this with my own eyes. And a vision, an out-of-body experience, I saw hell, but I'll give that testimony in another video. I saw it myself, people. I saw the torment in hell. Hell is real. Those 12 gates to Hades under the earth is real. Why would government leaders have such an interest in them? Give your life to Yeshua. Do not give it to Satan. Do not serve him. You will end up in everlasting pain. Be blessed, people.